Hey everybody, welcome to the WDW Park Hoppers podcast. My name is Park Hopper John.
I'm Park Hopper Sid.
And we are so glad that you are here. Welcome. And it's been a crazy few weeks for us. So we wanted to give you guys a little explanation of what's been going on with us. We also wanted to talk about the layoffs and what Disney's been doing and what the cast members have been doing for themselves. And we also wanted to feature one of our I'm not going to say our new favorites, but a place that we have enjoyed going. It's still growing on us, but Topolino's Terrace over at Disney's Riviera Resort. So.
Absolutely. Well, and we're also going to throw in a little bit of how Disney is gearing up for the holidays.
That's right. So,
because you know what? Bam! It was Christmas.
Bam! It's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
It's Halloween and fall, and then literally next day it was Christmas. Mm-hmm. So if you want to find out a little bit more about us, you can go over to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all at WDW Park Hoppers. You can also go to WDWParkHoppers.com, which is our home away from home. And if you haven't subscribed to the podcast...
That was the polite pig.
Oh, that's true. If you haven't subscribed yet, go over to anchor.fm/WDW Park Hoppers, and that's where you can get the podcast. But you can also find it on iTunes, Stitcher, and all those as well. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. So you want to...
Where have we been for the last few weeks?
Where have we been for the last few weeks?
Okay, so about a month ago, we had a sick puppy. We had, of course, there's stress going on at work. I'm very grateful to still have a job. It's full-time hours and part-time pay, and we've lost our commissions for a while and things like that, but it's still something. And, and I love what I do, and I love my clients.
Right.
But everything's getting a little more stressful. So you add some stress and some lack of sleep, and again, the sick puppy, and maybe a little dehydration in there. And well, darn it, I ended up in the emergency room. So I've thought for years and had been told by an EMT once that I had anxiety. And so I would occasionally have these bouts where my heart would just skyrocket into the 150s, 160s, a couple times into the 170s. I wore a Garmin racing watch so that I could track my heart rate, because I'd be sitting at my desk and all of a sudden it's in the 140s and I'd need to walk down the hall and find someplace calm to sit for a little while. Right. Well, about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, however it was, I'm out in the living room in the middle of the night with our sick puppy, and I start to fall asleep on the couch, and I wake up and my heart is racing. And long story short, 2 hours later, it's still racing. It's been in the 150s, 160s for 2 hours at this point. I can barely walk. I finally go and wake John up, and I'm like, all right, sorry to wake you up, but can you take me to the emergency room? I debated driving myself and leaving him a note, but I think I would be divorced right now. So
I wouldn't be happy.
In the emergency room, they ran some tests. They did some things to get my heart rate back down to at least a livable level at that time, and then cardiologist came in and said, okay, we're putting you in the hospital. We need to run more tests. So more tests were run, and if you are watching this, there's my little heart monitor. I get to get rid of this in 4 days, I think. If you are not watching this, that's me tapping on the heart monitor on my chest. So it's been 30 days that I had to wear this. Not exactly sure what they're hoping to see off of it, because they also have me on the same heart meds that my 80-year-old father is on.
Right, it's beta blockers, right?
Yes, it's beta blockers, but it's the same dose and the same kind that a lot of people are on, actually. And we've discovered that our family has horrible reactions to it. So we're exhausted all the time. And so that has not been fun. I'm waiting for them to just take me off of them.
Right.
So I haven't taken them yet today, which is why I'm still sounding normal.
Yeah. So that's that was what, a month ago?
Yeah. So that was, we decided to take a few weeks off from the podcast. Yeah. And then this kind of happened, and we're like, oh, I guess we're taking a few more weeks off.
Yeah, we were having a lot of things happen around here, and it got a little overwhelming for us. So we just took a step back, and sorry for just disappearing, but we'll try to do better. We've got a lot of really cool things planned for the next several weeks and over the holidays. But yeah, that's where we've been. We've been trying to get Park Hopper Sid here back up to health, and so yeah, we'll see. That's what's been going on with us.
And then you add to the stress of the fun of, it's election week.
Oh yeah, and for the people who are concerned, our puppy's fine. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Puppy's good. Yeah. He's old, and so he has times where the tiniest thing sort of knocks him out. We went through this with our grandmother. She would get a UTI, and we would think she was dying because she'd get a little non-lucid. She would get, her fever would spike. It would be things like that, and they'd be like, "Oh, here's 1 day of antibiotics," and she was fine again. And that's kind of where our dog is.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
There we go.
So one of the other things that we needed to talk about, and we're going to try to go through this quickly because it's been out for a long time, but we wanted to at least put our 2 cents in, is Disney went through another round of layoffs a little while back, and I think the number was somewhere around 28,000 split between the two places in the United States, Disneyland and Walt Disney World Resort. And we had a lot of friends who were affected. Luckily, we had several who were not. But I think the number here in Florida was around 11,000?
So I've seen a couple different numbers. The first round was like 8,800.
Right.
And then they increased it to 11,000. I don't think it was an additional 11,000, but when they raised that number, that started to include all of the performers.
Right.
And so in a matter of a few days, groups like the
Actors Equity Union.
Well, I was trying to say, the different performers at the parks.
Oh, so you're talking the Lion King show, you're talking Nemo and Friends, the Streetmosphere.
Absolutely.
All the different people who were... And I didn't see the Dapper Dans on the list.
So my understanding from the few people I've talked to about a couple different things is the Dapper Dans, and correct me if we're wrong, the Dapper Dans and the Voices of Liberty are still on furlough, but they haven't technically been laid off.
Wow.
But, everyone has a little bit different information.
Right.
So, but we know, the Streetmosphere at the Streets of Hollywood have been let go. The Main Street Cavalcade, like I told you, the meds are affecting my brain. So sorry, I thought you kind of jump in here.
They've still got a lot of
Indiana
things.
Jones.
Yeah, the Indiana Jones stunt show's gone. The show that they
Beauty
were
and the Beast show is gone.
The show that they were Jedi Training Academy is no longer there.
The Jedi Training Academy and the Streetmosphere with the Resistance actors and the... Yeah, I told you, my brain is gone.
Yeah, the Imperial March. Yeah, that was on.
Not even just the Imperial March, the ones that are walking around the new Star Wars area that would go around and they're looking for the Resistance. Those guys are all gone now, too.
Right.
So
yeah, but, when we talk about a story coming up here in a minute, we're going to talk about some of the other things that Disney's keeping and added in. So not everybody has been let go, so to speak. But, there's been a lot of upheaval in the cast community, and so luckily there's been a couple of things that cast members have either taken upon themselves or friends of cast members have taken upon themselves to start, and we wanted to bring your attention to 2 of them because we are going into the holidays, and we thought if there was a way that we could band together and help these people that make the magic for us, this would be a great way to do it. And 2 of them that we've heard a lot about is the first one is Ear for Each Other, which is one that a friend of ours is into. Now, that might be more so a cast member centric.
So Ear for Each Other is, it was based or started for furloughed cast members. They are allowing members of the community and non-furloughed cast members to join. So we actually have our request to join pending, so that we could be able to share a lot of the information. But the biggest 2 goals that they have is, 1, to support one another in a place where they can come and talk and chat and share information. And the other big thing that they're doing, and this is fantastic, because our cast members are disgustingly talented in a million ways that you never see inside the parks. And so many of them have side hustles. It's the term they use. They have, Etsy shops, or they, might make pierogies and sell them, or bake cakes, or things like that. So this was a place for those cast members who are furloughed to share their side hustle and people to be able to buy their wares or support them in some way. So it's really a very Disney-centric, cast members helping cast members, community helping cast members page.
On the
internet. And so that's what it is. So if you're on Facebook and you can go to Ear for Each Other, request to join, and really just support them. They do ask that if you are not furloughed or if you are not a Disney cast member, don't put your side hustle up there. That makes sense. We're there to support those that are furloughed.
Right. And then the other one that I think is the one that I am very excited about helping support is Cast Member Pantry. Now you can go to castmemberpantry.com, and it's a way to help cast members who, basically just need the everyday staples, just groceries. They need food, plus we're going into one of the biggest, two of the biggest holidays of the year, Thanksgiving and Christmas. So now is a great time to go support the cast members out there. So go to, what'd you say, Ear for You? Ears for You?
Ear for each other.
Ear for each other on Facebook, and then you go to castmemberpantry.com. All right, we good with that?
Yeah.
All right.
Now, where do they find? So you said Cast Member Pantry is not just on Facebook, but it's also, you can find it.
Yeah, you go to castmemberpantry.com and it'll reroute you straight to Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, so check that out. So I guess to sum it up, I understand that Disney has to do certain things to maintain profitability, but just remember the cast members, because they're the ones who are creating that magic for us when we go each and every day. And I know these times have been very, very difficult, but it's getting worse out there. So, just remember our cast members.
Well, and with the holidays coming up, if you have a cast member friend, maybe it's not just, hey, I'm praying for you. Hey, I'm thinking of you. Hey, do you need a babysitter? Hey, can I bring you some groceries? Would you like to come over for a meal? And then send them home with the leftovers. Things like that. Right. Little things that we can do to support one another. Right. We have some cast members here in our neighborhood that we are, they have been very lucky. They're working. He is finally back to working full time, and his wife is also a cast member, and she was part time with full and a half time hours for a while.
Right.
So they have, we've been checking on them and making sure that, they actually had put themselves in a good spot. So they've been good, but they've also been supporting other cast members, which has been just lovely to watch.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
with the holidays coming up, things like Ear for Each Other, maybe you can find an Etsy shop with all those little unique gifts that you need for your friends and family.
Absolutely. Speaking of the holidays, how can folks from the holidays help us out? So
we have told you for a while that we have a connection with Amazon. So, if you go to www.parkhoppers.com/Amazon, it will take you directly to Amazon. It will have the same facts, figures, and details for your account that you normally log into. It does take you to a page that's all Disney-centric in the beginning, but you can just click right over to whatever you're looking for.
Kids are excited about it.
Harley is so excited. But do know that sends a few pennies our way. It doesn't add anything to your bill. It comes straight out of Amazon's side. And all we ask is, if you're going to be shopping on Amazon, especially as we get closer to the Black Friday specials and the Cyber Monday and all of your Christmas shopping, if you could help us out just by adding a few extra letters as you type in your search, we would greatly appreciate it. I think we've made $10-15 since.
Yes, we appreciate that very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That goes for things like hosting, and like we've had to buy new microphones, and we bought a couple other pieces of gear that allow us to do what we do. So thank you so much for doing that. And speaking of the holidays, did you know that it's the holidays at Walt Disney World? I mean, the other day it was just, we're still doing fall and Halloween, but...
So in this house, we are still doing fall.
That's right.
I took down all of Halloween, and I put up the turkeys and some more foliage, whatever. Yeah, I'm having that kind of day, y'all.
Yeah.
So there are, some orange and golden leaves all around. There's Happy Thanksgiving signs. There's pumpkins. That's what we do.
So Disney stated from November 6th through December 30th.
Yep.
They're going to be celebrating the holiday season. They've got some really cool things. They've got what they're calling festive flourishes, meaning their decorations are all around. They'll have special holiday themed, what they're calling cavalcades, or the little processions that actually aren't full-blown parades, but Santa will be there. Some of the characters will be there dressed up in their holiday attire, but there will not be any Santa or Santa Goofy photos this year. So
no, and you can't go sit on Santa's lap and tell him what you want.
No.
You can go to www.parkhoppers.com/Amazon, and you can put it in your basket there.
Right. There you go.
Was that a good plug?
That's nice. Also over at Epcot, they're doing a couple different things. They're not doing their story time with all the different cultures and countries, but they are doing flavors of the holidays. So they're doing like up to 15 booths, I think, with different flavors. And this is what gets me: flavors from the countries in Epcot.
So we used to joke of how long it would take them before those food and beverage booths never went away.
Guess what, kids?
And it seems like it just took a pandemic.
That's right. Mariachi Cobra and Voices of Liberty are going to be performing, as well as the Jameters. They're going to be on the Canadian stage, or the Canada stage. So they're going to be having some music, but they're not going to be doing full-blown concerts. There is no candlelight processional, but it'll be decorated for Christmas, I know.
If y'all can't see, I'm making the worst pouty face ever because candlelight processional is my favorite. Now, Voices of Liberty, are they back now? Because I actually have a friend that posted a big thing about walking in there and there were no Voices of Liberty a week or so ago.
I have a theory behind that.
That maybe they're just doing
weekends. I did fail to mention one thing. Joyful, they're taking all of World Showplace, which is that special area right between Canada and the UK Pavilion, and they're turning it into an R&B soul type of holiday. So Joyful, the R&B group, is going to be performing Christmas tunes in there. There's going to be
because where they used to perform is still under construction, or
it's a mess.
So they used to be over on that little
there's a stage.
That stage that was bought in, right there by where the cranberry bog was.
Right. But I will say,
I'm mixing my seasons.
Voices of Liberty will be performing at the Meriden Garden stage. So there is, and I'll say this, don't quote me on this, there is a version of the Voices of Liberty that'll be performing.
But it's also at the American Garden stage, as opposed to in their building.
Correct. Absolutely.
That was designed for them with the special acoustics.
Right.
So,
if you'd like to get some better pictures of some of your favorite characters in their holiday attire, my suggestion would be to schedule a time to go eat at Hollywood and Vine, because it's going to be Minnie's Holiday Dine. Character dining, but they're not going to be making their way around saying hi to you and giving you hugs and stuff. They'll constantly be moving around, but you will be able to get some really cool shots. They'll stand in place for pictures, but you're not going to be able to go up and hug them or
ask for a signature.
Right, there's not going to be any kind of that entertainment.
Well, and that's how a lot of the restaurants have come back. So even Topolino's Terrace, we went there for a brunch, and we actually got put back in a little private room, and it was just the way they were separating tables. And the characters would stop right in the doorway and do their little dance, and they'd do it towards everyone else, and then they'd turn around and kind of dance for us personally. And so we just, we decided to take that as a win.
Right. So there's that going on, as well as all the holiday decor that happens in Hollywood Studios, which is probably one of my, outside of Magic Kingdom, it's my favorite place to be in the evening, especially at Christmas. I love that style of Christmas music. Over at Disney Springs, remember
I still miss the lights.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And no Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam before you start asking.
Wait, say it right.
Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam.
All right.
You remember the Christmas tree trail over at Disney Springs?
Yeah.
Instead of it being a Christmas tree trail, they're putting those trees all throughout Disney Springs.
That actually makes more sense, because the Christmas tree trail, as beautiful as it is, was a little compact.
Correct, and that's what they're trying to avoid.
Well, and also at Disney Springs, there are certain restaurants, like we know that the City Works Brew House is actually hosting Thanksgiving dinner.
Wow.
So if you are looking for, maybe you can't get to your family, maybe your family can't come to you, maybe you don't want to cook for 2 or 3 people, and you'd rather go out and have somebody dote on you a little bit, do keep an eye out, and we'll be posting them as we find them on our Facebook page and on Instagram, the different restaurants that are going to be having the holiday menus. One of our favorites was Cape May. We wound up there accidentally for Thanksgiving many years ago, and then went back on purpose 2 years ago, I think, or last year. I can't even remember. And we will be talking more about that later, but definitely keep that as an option.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or come to our house. Just let us know.
And then
I got tables.
Over the town center, the west side, and the landing, they'll be doing snow Snope, as I like to call it. But they're going to be doing
it
that.
Bubbles?
And then you want to keep your eye out because you never know where he's going to pop up. Santa's going to make appearances there as well. So, again, it's not going to be what we're used to, but it's going to be pretty good no matter what. So
I think the kids have been very flexible with all the changes, with the homeschooling, with the mask. I mean, kids in general have been much more flexible as long as the parents have been, kind of reinforcing it and be like, okay, this is what we do. I think it's going to be hard for a lot of the kids to not just tear away from mom and dad and run up. Like, Santa's going to have security this year.
yeah, probably. It's going to have.
They better be
Santa
dressed like
handlers.
elves.
They'll be Santa handlers. That'd be great. All right, so finally, one of the things that we thought when we were trying to figure out something that we could do that would be the most helpful that we actually know a lot about, which would be the dining and the
the drinking, yeah. The dining and the drinking around Disney.
At Disney, that's kind of our niche. So each week
we're grown adults. We're allowed.
That's right. Each week we're going to be talking about a different location that you can experience with your family or with friends or just you going and hanging out and having a wonderful Disney experience, whether you're eating or just enjoying a nice little cocktail or a combination of both. It's your call. But this week we're going to be talking about Topolino's Terrace. Now, we did talk about in a previous episode Topolino's Terrace for brunch, which we had a great time.
We did.
It's awkward because they were doing the character breakfast and it was like, hey, you over there, I'm waving at you. Hey, good to see you. And then they come around again and they're like, hey, good to see you. It's just awkward after a moment.
I don't think it was that awkward, but I'm more the Pollyanna one in the family anyway. I thought that the way they did it was lovely, that the fact that they were still enforcing it, the characters went out of their way to be able to point at different kids and whether or not they could actually see who they were pointing at. I don't know. Mice aren't known to have great vision.
That's true.
So, they're pointing and waving and, sometimes they would even, if there was a little kid that had started to walk towards them, but they stopped them. The parents were normally pretty good. When the parents kind of forgot the boundaries, the cast members would come over and remind them, okay, you can stand here and your cast member is going to be right here.
Right.
That, even some of the cast members, sort of knelt down to get more eye-to-eye level so that the kids felt that connection.
Yeah.
So I think they did a great job.
They did.
And the alternative was not having them at all.
Correct.
So
we had a great brunch, and we decided that we were going to do dinner and experience that. So if you go to the brand new Disney's Riviera Resort, at the top floor will be Topolino's Terrace. And it is an incredibly well-decorated, inviting place. It's just lovely. We got to meet the temporary manager. We hung out and talked with him for a little while. They are very, very insistent on you using your mobile check-in. It was a little bit of a tug of war between me and that person for a moment because it wasn't working, and they were like, but you should check in on mobile, and we can't. And then it's like, okay, and then bibbidi boppity boom, we were in. I'm like, was that so hard?
So the whole thing about checking in on the mobile was having the app.
Right.
And I had the app, and so I was good. And Park Hopper John had cleared some things off his phone, and so he actually had to stand there and try to reinstall the app. And that didn't work so well, and he was like, I don't have the app. And so they explained to him how to download the app. Okay. And I understand that they are trying to get everybody on the same page so that everybody works the same way. So maybe it's not such a big deal at one place for them to check you in, but then you go to the next one and they ask about the app.
Right.
And so they're trying to be consistent, which is lovely. And so, and it didn't work. It wasn't that bad. And really, when you can't do it, they try a couple times and they say, okay, check in.
Right.
They took us to our table, and then again, they have a little sheet on the table with a QR code, and you scan it on your phone, and the menu pops up.
Right.
If you do cannot live without a paper menu, they will bring you a paper menu.
Right.
So, and that has been the same for most restaurants, not just at Disney, but even other places. So everyone's going to the QR codes. That technology has been around for years, and it's just exploding because you're already touching your phone, so don't touch anything else. Right.
So if you go online and you look for the menu at Topolino Terrace, the menu that you will be offered when you go until this pandemic is over is not the same. It's a much more pared down menu. So I think we had the option for Now, were we doing magical dining?
We
did not.
We did not. They do not offer magical dining.
They didn't do magical dining. That's right. Okay, so we
I'm
had three.
Throw me off here.
3 or 4 options for appetizers and 4 or 5 options for main course. 2 or 3 options for dessert, and then their typical menu for anything we wanted adult beverage wise. So, and their wine menu is ridiculously large. It's amazing. So you would expect nothing less from a fine Italian dining restaurant, but you're on the Riviera, so it's not exactly all just Italian. But I thought that the meal overall was extremely good.
The meal was fantastic. The service was very good. We kind of got there, and we were actually there for Park Hopper John's birthday, but we found ourselves just sort of observing everything else going on around us. And one thing, we were seated very close to one of the doors that goes out onto their gorgeous patio.
Right.
And the views off that patio, please go look, just have a nice time. You can actually go and sit there and just have a cocktail out on the patio. They need to do something about the door because it just didn't close quite right. And if you had, the door on the left side was a little further out than the door on the right side, and somebody tried to open the door on the right side, they felt like they were locked in. And then there was the sort of slammy as they crossed each other. And so we reached a point where we'd look up at people and be like, no, this. Because it was becoming very loud.
So what we wound up choosing for our starter was their ricotta, which was... turn it to Tony.
Oh my gosh, it's ricotta.
Yeah, so...
For all of you that are, from America.
So it was...
I'm going to get yelled at for that one.
It was handmade ricotta with... tomatoes and cracked pepper, basil, and what got us both was 25-year-old aged balsamic vinegar, and it was
amazing.
It was amazing.
And they just had a little bit of vinegar, and we're like, can we get a little bit more? And they brought us plenty, so we were all good.
So that's what our other choice that we were actually going to go for was they have an olives starter, which would have been amazing too, but we went for the ricotta because of the balsamic vinegar. It was to die for.
It was also the recommendation of our very, very helpful waiter.
Yeah, and then what we wound up having, we both had kind of the same thing, which was it was shrimp.
It was a linguine and shrimp.
Yeah, linguine and shrimp. And it was amazing.
He's testing my memory here, people. I'm like, I think I've had a little brain damage from the whole heart thing, so.
So we had linguine and shrimp. It was incredible, and
we skipped dessert.
We did skip dessert on purpose. We tried to skip dessert. They wound up bringing out a little birthday thing for me, which was nice. It was wonderful. It was like vanilla. Lovely. It was a vanilla cake and a chocolate cake, and some little special stuff in there as well. So that was kind of nice. But we skipped dessert because, being it was my birthday, I had another plan. I'm an ice cream person, and Culver's was calling my name, so.
Culver's is not on Disney property, sorry.
Culver's is not on Disney property, so.
Now, can I tell the one thing that we did see that was very telling of the times, so I'm not sure how many of you know, but they stopped doing Disney weddings for many, many months, and they've just started redoing them, or doing them again. And the restrictions on Disney weddings of how many people you can have in a room is, it's with social distancing, and there's also rules on how many people you can have in a room for a certain amount of time. So, and my numbers are not correct, but if you have a room that for 1 hour will fit 20 people, well, if you want a 4-hour reception, you're down to like 6 people. Mm-hmm. You can't have 20 people in that room, even with masks on. So this is, and it's CDC guidelines that Disney has adopted, and they're trying to make everything work for everybody, and sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. And so, but while we were there, we watched this lovely bride and groom walk in to have dinner on their wedding day by themselves. And we're like, "Aw." So we ended up sending them some champagne, which we found out later from the manager. They both went to the bride because the groom does not drink it. So he had his big beer and she had her cocktails. But we just, if you see a chance to add a little Disney magic.
Especially during these times.
Oh, please do it. And again, the Disney magic doesn't have to be on property. and it doesn't have to be something overly Disney crazy. Anything that shows a little, love and compassion, I would consider pixie dust.
Right. Absolutely. And that allowed us to meet Abraham. Crap. His last name is escaping me. Perez. Abraham Perez.
Okay.
We met Abraham, who was filling in for the manager there
This
until
is what happens
after
when he doesn't let me make notes.
until after the. I did not let you make notes. You just didn't make notes. I didn't either. So, I have bullet points. But he's a temporary manager, and after all this pandemic stuff goes away, he's going to go back to being the manager over at Victoria and Albert's. We had tons of questions. He was so gracious. He was so great.
He's been with Disney for over 20 years.
Yeah.
He actually hired one of our neighbors 15 years ago. So that was
kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So overall, I think Topolino Terrace was great. I want to see their full menu. There's some other items there that I'd like to try.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're, of course it is, because it's just the nature of the pandemic. I think their current menu is a little limiting, but for the most part, I think it's pretty good.
Absolutely.
Right?
All right, so we've been talking for about a half hour now.
Yeah, all right. So what are we going to talk about? Well, what place are we going to go visit next week?
So, in our hearts, we will be at the Gran Destino Tower at Disney's Coronado Springs Resort. Whether or not we can get in there in person is still yet to be determined.
Yeah, it's still dicey getting in there.
Yeah, right now it's still reservations only, like you have to sleep in the building. It had been closed for many months due to the NBA bubble.
You'd also have a dining reservation and get in.
All right, then. We'll have to work on that.
Or you can drive to Disney Springs, hop on a Disney bus, and let it drive you into the resort, and then hop on the bus and let it drive you back to Disney Springs, and then you can go about your merry way. I was told that from a Disney cast member, and I was on the phone with her.
So we can't drive in and park.
And I'm like, seriously?
We can't drive in and park, but we can take a bus.
Correct.
Alrighty then. This
So
could be an adventure.
I'm not 100% sure that the Barcelona Lounge, which is our favorite lounge on property, is open quite yet. But we'll do some research and we'll let you know. Either way, we're going to be talking about it next week. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
All right, so we want to make sure that you guys come find us over on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all at WDW Park Hoppers. And come find us over at anchor.fm/WDW Park Hoppers and subscribe to the podcast, or you can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, all over the place. But if you'd like to kind of help us out and keep things moving forward, the best way to do that is go to anchor.fm and click on the support button, and that will help us out. It doesn't take a lot, just a few dollars every month, and that helps us do a little bit more and bring it to you directly. So other than that, is there anything else you want to add?
No.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. My name is Park Hopper John.
I'm Park Hopper Sid.
And we are WW Park Hoppers. 4 parks, 1 world.
And everything in between.
See you next time.